if you watch this video and it's not one of, if not the most valuable videos that you watch on YouTube, send me a DM and I'll send you $50 or something, because I promise you, this is one of the most all-encompassing videos I've probably ever done. And there's one thing that I need to ask you, and if you can commit to this, I promise you, you will see a drastic change in your marketing agency trajectory. Whether you are at zero right now, whether you're at 50K a month right now, or even, I know the title says 0 to $1 million, but even if you're already at $1 million with your agency, I promise you this will give you clarity on your next steps. However, what I need from you is to watch the video and then actually implement on the video, okay? This is not gonna be a get rich quick type thing. It's not, you'll see that there's a bit of work involved, but if you actually do the work, you'll see results. Trust me on that. And I can say that with confidence, because this is, when I was creating this video, I literally just thought back to my last sort of 2 years or so and was just kind of like mapping out exactly what I've been doing. And this is it. And it's worked for me, and there's no reason why it can't work for you. So let's jump into it. How to scale from 0 to $1 million with a marketing agency, okay? So step one is really, I define step one as 0 to 10K a month, right? Like that stage is, in my opinion, step one. Now at this stage, you need to focus on finding product market fit, okay? That's what you need to focus on at this stage. And really, product market fit in the marketing agency space is most of the time an offer that works. That's really, in other words, what product market fit is, right? Get an offer that works to where when you put it out to the marketplace that the offer is designed for, the market's like, I want that, give me that. That's really, okay, now you've defined product market fit, right? And then obviously, if you want to take it a step further, how you say you've truly found it is to say, okay, put the offer out to the market. They're like, this is what I want. And then you can then sell them on, 3, 4K a month retainer, because there's a difference between people saying, yeah, I want it. And there's a difference between that and them actually paying for it, right? So you need to get them to pay for it. And then you've truly found product market. Now to do that, I've got other videos on the channel on this, and a lot of what I'm going to go through in this video, I do have other videos. So if you want to go deeper, just search the channel and there is other stuff on it. But to find product market fit, this is what you need to do. Don't overcomplicate it. Use this offer framework, okay? Niche, metric, volume, and guarantee. And I actually missed one, which is time frame. This framework is what we use for all of our clients. It's what I use. It works every single time. Okay. Just trust me on this. This is what I'm saying. Like everything in here works. I just need you to do it. Just do the thing, right? Use this offer framework. So niche, obviously pick your niche, right? Especially if you're just starting out in this stage, like I would really, and even if you're at like 40, 50K a month in a very saturated industry, I would even look at switching to a niche that is just less served overall. And it just is not as much saturation in that industry. Okay. So choose that niche. Then the metric is basically referring to what is the thing that niche wants. So I always use us as an example for this. My niche is marketing agency owners, and the metric that marketing agency owners want is either sales calls or clients. That's it. That's all they want, is sales calls or clients, right? And a lot of the niches that you'll probably choose, most of the time, it probably is around a similar thing, right? Acquisition is usually the big thing on everybody's mind, no matter what the niche is. But you got to define what that specifically is, because, for marketing agency owners, it's a client. That's what they want. They all want more clients, right? Whereas for a dental practice, they don't want more clients. They want more patients. So you have to get very clear on what's the specific thing that this market wants. Then you have to define a volume. So like, what's a number of clients? In my case, for marketing agency owners, okay, metric is clients. What's a number of clients? What's a volume of clients that would be attractive to a marketing agency? Because if I say, hey, I'll get you one new client, you know what I mean? It's like great niche, great offer, great metric, clients, but only one. It's like, you know what I mean? But if I say, hey, I'll get you 50 new clients, 15 new clients, 25 new clients, if I get you whatever, you know what I mean? Like if you increase the volume, that's obviously where it becomes desirable. Now, obviously there's a line there, because if you cross the believability line, no one will believe you. And they think it's, like they just won't even respond to your marketing message. But then obviously if you go too low, then they're also not going to respond, right? So you need to find that line. Time frame is basically referring to, when are you going to deliver that result? So, okay, if you work with gyms, for example, okay, gym is the niche, metric is new members, right? They want new members coming in their door. Volume could be, I actually don't know, say 100 new members per month. I don't even know if that's good or if that's too much. I actually don't know. So don't copy that directly, because I have no clue. But then, okay, time frame would be per month. Okay. And then the guarantee could then refer to either or you don't pay, which is obviously the best. And if you're just starting out, I wouldn't value the retainer when you're first starting out. Value finding product market fit. So if that means you having an or you don't pay guarantee, and then, you can't deliver on it and you have to refund, don't look at that as the end of the world. Look at it as like, okay, I've got an offer that I know people want because this client paid me 2K. These, 4 clients paid me 2K a month. I had to refund one of them. Okay, well, it's not that bad for now, at least, right? Like it's that 25% refund rate. Pretty high, But if it's just your first couple clients, don't stress too much about having to refund. Issue the refund, it's fine. Later on, when I'll get onto it here. Later on, we can figure out fulfillment. But at least now you know you've got a good offer that has obviously found product market fit. Okay. The other thing I'll say on here as well is you can do multiple. Okay. Don't fall into paralysis by analysis in that you're like, oh, what offer should I do? What niche should I go after? Oh, if you're in 0 to 10K a month, I'm telling you, pick five offers and run after all of them. Just do it. This goes back to what I was saying at the start of the video, right? It might be a little more work, but I promise you, if you do 5 offers and you send 100 outbound emails per day per offer, you'll have clients. You just will. That's it. It just requires you to do the work, okay? And especially, obviously, if each offer is structured in this way, you're gonna have no problem getting clients, okay? So that's the first thing. Find product market fit. Because every agency that's at scale has something that people want. And so you got to first find what is that thing? What's that offer, right? And really at this stage, you got to go all in on marketing and sales, right? Your only focus here should be generating sales calls and taking sales calls. That's it, okay? That goes back to, I think Sam Ovens first said this, but it's very true. Generate sales calls, taking sales calls. That's it. That's all your focus should be. If you do have budget, right? If you have a bit of cash saved up or whatever, maybe you got a full-time job and you're trying to make this work. Or again, maybe you're at 30K a month with your agency, but it's kind of stagnant. We got a low budget, run ads. Trust me, just go straight to ads, because if you have a good offer and you get it in front of those people, the easiest way, if you have a good offer, the easiest way to get it in front of them in the quickest time frame possible at the highest scale is ads, period, every time, okay? If you don't have a budget, that much budget, blast email. Do email outbound and blast it, okay? Opt for personalization at scale. You know, I always get the question, you know, should I go really hyper personalized on my emails or should I go for volume? Do both. Figure out a way to do both and run with both, okay? Again, I've got a bunch of other videos on my channel on like acquisition and stuff like that, but I'm just in this video telling you what you need to do, right? Do both and then start getting a couple clients under your belt. And then as soon as, you know, if you're at 0 right now, as soon as you get to sort of 10, 15K a month, go straight to ads, okay? Trust me, if you get ads locked in, I mean, the scale is just ridiculous. It's the easiest way. Put it this way, we had one client implement this exact same thing. This is why I'm getting so hyped in this video, because I know this works, right? We had one client in I think it's been like 2 months ago, whatever, he first came on board with us, was in e-commerce. We told him to switch out of e-com because that's just not a good niche to go into. He was already at like, I think 70K a month or something in e-com. But I was like, dude, honestly, if you're open to it, if you want to truly scale, I basically posed him the question. I was like, do you want to scale to 500K a month or do you want to stay in e-com? He was like, dude, I want to scale. I was like, okay, great. Here's what you need to do. And I was basically telling him this. He switched, went into a different niche, different offer, whatever. And then first, maybe 45 days, I think, 30 to 45 days, call it 60 days, whatever, it doesn't matter. First 2 months, call it 0 to 80K a month with this new offer. 0 to 80K a month with a new offer. With obviously, we was running his ads for it. So like ads is the most scalable form of acquisition when you get it locked in. Trust me on that, all right? Which is why I'm kind of pushing it. I would really recommend for you to do it if you have the budget. But if you don't stress. Just do email. You can still get to, 0 to 10K a month. It's probably easier for you to do email. But if you've got budget, I would then immediately go to ads. And what your goal is at this point is just to, in the background, your main focus at this point is to find product market fit. And the way you do that is by try to generate sales calls with offers, throw offers out to the market, put some data behind it, see what hits, see what doesn't, change the offer, do a new offer, right? And just go through that iterative process, get sales calls, close them. And then in the back end, just start to build, you will by extension anyway of, try and either your ads or your emails, start building a repeatable acquisition system, okay? As I say, this should be a byproduct of going all in on marketing and sales. So if you start doing emails and then you're like, oh, this offer works, and then you start increasing the volume of the emails you're sending, well, now you're gonna start to build that repeatable process to where okay, if I send 100 emails, I'm gonna get one booked call. Or if I have 4 live calls, I know I can close one. Okay, great, well, I need to send 400 emails to get one closed client. Okay, now, and if you do that over the course of maybe 5 to 10 clients, well, now you're starting to build a repeatable, consistent acquisition system. And that's one of the keys to go from 0 to 100K a month with an agency, is to get a repeatable system in place to where if I do X, I'm going to get Y, whether that be ad spend. So if I spend this much, I'm going to get a client, CPA, or if it's emails, if I send this many emails, I'm going to get this, right? That's what you want to start to build in the back end. Okay, now we can move on to step 2. Now, step 2, I define as basically 10 to 50K a month. Now here, what you want to start to do is to split up your day with sales and fulfillment. That's what I did, okay? Again, this is exactly what I do. It's what I recommend to our clients. It just works, okay? Split up your day with sales and fulfillment. Now, you should still be on the phones at this stage, right? You're still taking the sales calls. However, you should have your marketing slightly more automated in that it can run without too much input from you. This is key, okay? And this is another reason, obviously, why ads are so good, because if you get an ad that, runs and whatnot, it can run for like a while and just produce calls and produce clients, right? If it's obviously good. And so that's what you kind of want to do at this stage. Obviously, if you do an email and maybe you're doing a lot of the lead sourcing, or maybe you're doing a lot of the heavy lifting of the email system, well, if you've built a more of a repeatable process now to where you know if I send X emails, I'm going to get X calls, etc., and you kind of know your numbers, well, now you can maybe look at installing a VA into the system, obviously add an external lead source or whatever it may need to be, so that you can remove yourself a little bit more from the marketing, so that now you can focus on sales and fulfillment, because 10 to 50K a month, that's where your focus needs to be, okay? I would even say leaning more so on sales, but you still need to put focus and thought onto fulfillment, okay? Now, you should basically at this stage be taking sales calls in the morning, okay? Again, this is just what I did. You don't have to do 5 a.m. You can do 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., whatever it is. But what I did was I started taking sales calls in the morning at 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. That was kind of my window. That's all I had on the calendar. So all the sales calls got booked into those slots. And the rest of your day should be going on fulfillment. Now, when I say fulfillment, I specifically mean building a repeatable delivery process, building trainings on that process for future hires, which I'll get onto, and then also building a healthy client retention, which is really propped up by client results and client experience. That's what you now need to be focusing on in the second half of your day with fulfillment, okay? Now, obviously, the repeatable delivery process, your question might be, well, how do I get my clients results? That's not really the topic for the video. I do have other trainings on getting results for clients and whatever else, but this could be things like, you running the ad. So if you have a lead gen type offer for some kind of local niche, for example, well, now you want to start to look into, okay, well, what type of ads do I need to run to actually be able to deliver on the offer that these guys have paid me for, right? How do I get these guys appointments? How do I get these guys clients? Whatever it might be, figure out the ad process, right? And just put time into it. Most of the time, it's not rocket science. And I promise you, if you just put like real thought into it and do some real live testing, you'll be able to figure it out most of the time, okay? And again, use YouTube. Search on YouTube, how to run ads for niche. And I promise you, you'll watch so many videos. There'll be so much stuff on there that will just show itself. Or, if there is, I don't even know if there's like courses specifically on fulfillment for certain niches, but if you find one, buy it, go through it, implement on it. And, at this stage, you just got to be taking massive action. That's really what you got to be doing, right? Specifically here, focusing on building a repeatable delivery process and building trainings on what you're doing behind how you're actually implementing on fulfilling for the client. Does that make sense? And then also, as I say, by extension of these two things here, you should be getting clients results in the back end, and you should be working on delivering a great client experience, which this here, by the way, is primarily propped up with communication with the client, which is important. Again, not a topic for the video, but just be thinking about it. Okay, now that should, obviously you're still taking the sales calls, working on delivering the results for your clients. And these stages, I wouldn't be like, I'm at 45K a month, I can't make a hire yet. Maybe, just the economics of your offer and your industry or whatever else, you might be like up to your eyeballs in work, and you're at 25K a month, or you're at 30K a month. Well, that's fine. You can still make it higher at that point, right? So don't look at these stages as like exacts, more about just the phases. It's just like phase 1, you need to focus on that. Phase 2, you need to, get sales and fulfillment locked in. Phase 3, then you would move into hiring. Maybe you're at 30K a month, now you're moving into hiring. It's not exactly, right? Don't get too hung up on this. But phase 3 is essentially hiring overall. But I want to go through this because this is probably the biggest breakthrough that I ever had, okay? Was this transition here at this stage. So 50 or so to 100K a month, okay? At this point, you should have two things: a consistent and repeatable process to close clients. Obviously that includes marketing, getting the calls, and then, a repeatable process to getting the calls. And again, you should already have this because of stage 1, right? Like you've already kind of built that, which is why we want to stack these on top of each other, right? And then obviously a repeatable process to actually close the calls that you generate, right? So like building a good sales call script, etc., right? Okay, you've got that. And now you should also have a consistent and repeatable process to fulfill on clients as well, all right? If your delivery is extremely specific to each individual client, there's no consistency across your client delivery, you're not going to be able to scale that much. And if you do scale it, your margins will be very, very low, which is historically why most agency owners have very low margins. It's because people blame it on,
it's a people business. It's a service-based business. Like all service-based businesses have super low margins. It's like,
well, actually, they don't. My margins last month, 55%. We did multiple 6 figures last month, 55%. For an agency, that's pretty good. right? The reason why most people have low margins is because their client delivery is so wildly different across every single client. And so they have to have so much human input per client. And that's why, most e-commerce agencies actually have such low margins. It's because their client delivery is not the same. You look at 2 clients, it's like 2 different companies. You know what I mean? It's like not the same thing. So you need to have that repeatable process to fulfill on clients, which is what you should be focusing on trying to build in stage 2 here. You want to think of it as like conveyor belts, okay? Got these 2 conveyor belts that are running, sales, closing, and then fulfillment. Now you can choose which one to hire out first or hire for first, right? Which do you bring on a closer? Do you bring on an account manager first? It honestly could be either. Okay, I've seen people do both. I personally hired out closing first, and then I went on focus primarily all on fulfillment. But a lot of people do the complete opposite, and a lot of people are quite strict on doing the complete opposite, right? Like a lot of people hire out fulfillment first, they continue taking the sales calls, and then they eventually, hire out the sales calls as well. It's totally up to you and depends on wherever you feel strongest. I didn't feel as strong on sales calls. I also didn't like sales calls. I'm not a people person, honestly. So I just didn't like that. Whereas fulfillment, I was just a lot stronger on fulfillment. I always have been, with ads and whatnot. I'm much more of an ad person than I am a closer, right? And so that's why I just opted for fulfillment. Like I maintained fulfillment a lot longer and I hired out closing first. You could do either or, it doesn't really matter. Either way, because you now have defined a repeatable and consistent process in sales and delivery, you can now easily bring on a team member and lead and coach them to success. The biggest issue most people have with hiring is they expect to make a hire and then they expect that new person to come onto the team, require no input from the leader, require no coaching, no leading, and just expect that person to perform at KPI and like amazing and whatever. And inevitably that never plans out as they plan for. And then at the end of the day, then they blame the team member, they just weren't a good fit. Then you try and hire somebody else and then they go through the same thing, they weren't a good fit. And they never end up building a real solid team. And most of the time it's because the leader doesn't know how to do the thing, whatever they're hiring for. Okay. And that's why I always say initially you want to do both fulfillment and sales. So you know how to do both. And then when you bring somebody on board, you can then just lead them based on, what you know how to do it, right? You know what I mean? Like, you can lead them based on what you was doing when you was actually in that position. So that's what you would do. You would hire for one. And then once you've hired for one, you could maybe, focus on getting them up into KPI. For example, if you hired a closer, you'd want to make sure that, work with the closer very closely every single day, do your trainings, do your onboarding and ramping correctly, etc. And then once they're at closing, whatever your KPI is, maybe it's 25%, 30%, whatever. Ideally, you want them to be closing similar to what you was doing, maybe a little lower. Most of the time, if you're the founder, you're probably going to be able to close higher than anyone else. But the closer should be able to close near you, maybe a little low, maybe 5%, a little lower, right? And then once you've got that locked in, you're still working on fulfillment or vice versa, whatever it is, whatever you choose to do first, then you can look at, let's hire an account manager now. That's basically, that's actually what I did, right? So it was the closer, I got him up into KPI. I was still pretty deep into fulfillment. Then I was like, closes in KPI, I'm feeling good. Clients are getting results. I've got a very repeatable process to get our clients results. I know exactly when a new client comes on, I know the process they have to go through. I was confident, right? I know what they need to do. I know what we need to do. I know just what needs to be done to get them the results. Okay, cool. Now I can look at installing somebody into this process. And then obviously, after I ramped him up, now I have 2 people in both positions who are performing, which now brings you on to step 4. Now, step 4 is to do more, okay? Step 4 is to do more. And again, this is usually you're going to be at about 100K a month at this point. Now, to scale from 100K a month, you just got to do more, okay? Because by now you should have a consistent, repeatable, and scalable, that's the addition here, and scalable process to close clients and to fulfill on clients. Now, where does this scalable section come from? The scalable process comes from having somebody else closing the client. So up here how we said we need a consistent and repeatable process to close clients. Well, it's not scalable because that's probably you in the process. You're the consistent, repeatable process to close clients. But now the difference here is now you've got somebody else who's a consistent and repeatable process to close clients. And guess what? For overall, that system now becomes scalable because guess what? You can plug somebody else in, and plug somebody else in, and plug somebody else in. And that's how that then becomes scalable because it's not attached to your time. Does that make sense? And obviously the same thing on the client front with the account manager structure. The account managers are getting the client's results without you needing to be there. That then makes it scalable, and it's still consistent and repeatable because they're getting the clients results, they're closing the clients, whatever it might be. So now you just need more, okay? More marketing, so scale spend. At this point, you should 110,000% be running ads, okay? Unless you're very peculiar, kind of like B2B, where you can't really find your ideal client on ads. We've had a couple people booking a call with us who, you know, they only work with like 25 million per year companies. And it's just like, okay.
You're not going to find those guys on ads. You've got to do direct outbound and whatever, right?
But most of agencies you should be on ads. So scale spend, increase your volume, okay? Hire more closers, hire account managers, and just do more. That's it at that point, okay? Just scale. Because the fundamental system is down packed. Now you just need to scale it. That's it. But, you know, if you've done each section right, by the way, you should be able to just scale. You know what I mean? It should just be that easy, because if you've hired one closer and ramped them into KPI, you should be able to do it again and again and again and again, because you should have a repeatable system. Same thing with the account managers. And obviously with the ads, if you're running at 500 a day, and you're getting a $200 cost per book call, and you're closing at 25%, your CPA is whatever that would be, $800, I think. Well, the good beauty about ads is if you get an $800 CPA at $500 a day spend, you should be able to double your spend to $1,000 a day, and, you know, within reason, maintain a roughly $800 CPA. You know what I mean? So just scale spend, right? Also at this point as well, you will need to look into more efficient systems. So the reason I say this is because some things that typically break at this point is onboarding and ramping, I found, okay? And again, this is just from experience. Once I got to that point of 100K a month or so, we then started to hire a lot more people, right? Like now we're hiring like 2-3 new people per month at the moment, right? That's our consistent cadence. And, you know, to facilitate that amount of hiring, you need a scale. You know, people talk about scalable acquisition. Nobody talks about scalable talent acquisition. Okay, they could talk about it in the form of client acquisition, which is great. At some point, you're gonna have to be able to facilitate scalable talent acquisition, and then not only acquiring the talent, but then also you need a scalable onboarding process for new talent, so that it doesn't require you all day, every day, just like training up new people from scratch, right? You need a scalable system to facilitate for that. Same thing with ramping. How do you take a new hire and then ramp them into KPI in the quickest time frame possible? Like I was saying before, you know, with closers, their KPI might be 30%. Well, how do you bring on a new closer and get them to that 30% close rate as soon as physically possible? Well, it's by having a scalable ramping process, right? Which is obviously one of the things. You don't need to look at this stuff unless you're at this point, which is why I say step 4 is to do more. You need all of these other things now to facilitate going from 100 to 250, 500, whatever. Also, client experience, you might see starts to decrease a little bit. We noticed this. And also by extension of client experience decreasing, you might see client results decrease. And usually I found this is a result of a decrease in client care due to the volume. So when you have one client, it's really easy to pour into that one client and only focus on that one client, right? And give them, and then, you know, you're going to get great feedback, which is probably what you'll find at this stage, sort of, you know, 10 to 100K a month, you'll probably find it, right? In that
clients are like, oh my God, you guys are great. Like you care so much. Like it's really, really good.
And then as you go from one client to 100 clients, it becomes more difficult to give each individual client that care. And we face that issue. And so then again, we put more efficient systems in place to make sure that every client, we changed our, if you're interested, we changed our account manager compensation structure and their on-track earnings and how they achieve their on-track earnings. We changed that system to allow for them to be able to go deeper per client rather than being spread across too many clients. I've also done a couple things myself because I still lead the fulfillment team. I'm not in fulfillment, but I lead the fulfillment team. And I've done a few things to increase my own visibility in clients because again, at 100 clients, like it's very hard to know where every single client is at specifically with their ads and their numbers and this and that. Like when we was at 10 clients, I could see all of it easily. So I was able to give my input as well. Whereas 100 clients, I think we're over that at this point. I just can't be in each client channel and doing all this stuff, right? So we've put systems in place in the back end so that I can increase my visibility into clients and I can then give more appropriate coaching to the relative account managers, etc. And as soon as we implemented those, our client results now and our client experience now is better than it's ever been. Even when we was at 10 clients or whatever, you know, like a lower amount, our client results and experience right now is better than it's ever been. And we're at the highest scale that we've ever been at, right? So that comes from those more efficient systems that need to be in place to facilitate the scale. So long story short, that is the process. And again, as I said at the start of the video, I need you to implement on this because this is exactly what I did and it's worked tremendously well. And again, if I can do it, there's no reason why you can't do it. There's literally no reason why. And the other thing is we've took so many clients through this similar process. We've obviously worked more one-on-one with them to help them facilitate the process, but it is the process they've gone through and it's worked time and time again. So please just rewatch this video, take action on it. It will work, it will help. And you know, any questions or whatever, hit the comments. Happy to help out wherever possible. And I'll see you in the next video.